Most people think the truth hides in words, but the truth of a woman lives in her silence, her energy, and what she doesn't say. If you can learn to feel beyond words, you'll never be confused again. If this message touched something inside you, if you're ready to understand love, emotion, and human truth on a deeper level, make sure to subscribe. Join me on this journey of self-awareness, healing, and awakening. Your transformation begins here. The truth cannot be pulled from someone like a secret waiting to be stolen. It is a living energy that must be invited. When a woman feels emotionally cornered, when she senses an expectation or a demand hidden behind your questions, her heart closes, and the truth retreats into silence. But when she feels safety, true, grounded, and patient safety, her truth begins to unfold on its own. The difference is not in the words you ask, but in the energy you bring. Truth is not something you take, it's something you create space for. Imagine standing before a garden. You can't force a flower to bloom by pulling its petals open. You can only give it sunlight, water, and care. The same is true with truth. A woman will reveal the depths of her heart only when she feels seen, not judged, valued, not controlled. The human nervous system, especially one that has learned from past pain, knows when it is being pressured or analyzed. In that energy, honesty feels unsafe. But when the presence before her is calm, curious, and accepting, her body relaxes, her mind lets down its walls. That's when real truth, not surface answers, begins to appear. To invite the truth, you must first master your own energy. If your intention is to win an argument, to prove a point, or to extract confession, your presence will vibrate with control. A woman can sense that instantly. She may respond politely, but her truth will stay guarded. The deeper truth only appears when your intention shifts from wanting to know to wanting to understand. Understanding is love in motion. It says, I'm not here to judge your truth. I'm here to hold it. When a woman feels that, she steps out of defense and into vulnerability. The energy of invitation begins with emotional stillness. It is being present without rush, without agenda. It's allowing silence to exist between words and realizing that in that silence, something sacred is happening. Trust is forming. Trust cannot be rushed, and truth cannot be forced. Both emerge from patience. To truly hear a woman's truth, you must be still enough to notice what she's not saying, to feel what her heart is trying to communicate beyond logic. Sometimes her truth isn't a sentence. It's a sigh, a hesitation, a look. The one who invites truth pays attention to these small moments without reacting, without needing to fill the silence. Another essential part of invitation is emotional honesty. If you want truth, be truth. Speak openly, not as a performance, but as a way of setting the tone. When she sees that your vulnerability doesn't collapse into weakness, she begins to mirror that energy. Her heart whispers, it's safe here. That's when truth arrives, not through interrogation, but through resonance. Energy meets energy. Honesty calls to honesty. Many people think that truth is about asking the right questions, but it's really about holding the right presence. When you become a person who radiates understanding, patience, and compassion, you don't have to force anything. You attract authenticity. The truth comes to you naturally because your energy doesn't resist it. It's like water finding its way to the lowest, calmest point. To invite truth is to become still, grounded, and loving. It's choosing not to chase answers, but to embody peace. When she feels that peace, she will want to meet you there. She will want to open. Her truth will come not as defense, but as offering. That's when you realize the truth was never hidden. It was only waiting for safety to bloom. Listening is not just hearing words, it is tuning into the invisible layers beneath them. A woman's truth rarely exists only in what she says. It breathes in her pauses, trembles in her tone, and hides in the spaces between sentences. To listen beyond words is to connect with her emotional language, the one that doesn't always translate into speech, but speaks through energy, body, and feeling. Most people hear to reply, to fix, or to defend. But when you listen with full presence, when you listen to understand rather than to react, you open a space where truth feels safe to emerge. Every human being carries emotional memory, layers of experience that shape how they communicate. For a woman, especially one who has learned to protect herself emotionally, truth is guarded not because she wants to deceive, but because she wants to survive. Her body remembers moments when speaking her truth led to rejection, criticism, or pain. When she senses that same energy again, a distracted gaze, an impatient sigh, a defensive tone, her nervous system closes. But when she senses genuine attention, the kind that doesn't rush her story or question her feelings, her body relaxes. The wall begins to soften, and words start to align with feelings. That's the moment when truth begins to rise naturally. To listen beyond words, you must slow your mind. You can't receive emotional truth while your thoughts are busy preparing answers or judgments. The moment you plan your response, you leave the present moment, and she feels that disconnect. Real listening is a kind of meditation. It means staying completely present with her voice, her breathing, her energy, without inserting your own story. It's not passive, it's deeply active awareness. Your silence becomes your strength, not your weakness. Through that silence, she begins to feel that you are not just hearing her, you are feeling her. And that changes everything. There's an emotional resonance that happens when someone feels truly heard. Her nervous system shifts from defense to trust. Her energy begins to open. When a woman feels that kind of listening, her truth no longer feels dangerous to share. It becomes a bridge of connection. Sometimes she might not even know her own truth until she speaks it aloud in a space where she feels safe enough to explore it. Your presence, your calm energy, gives her permission to go deeper within herself. But listening beyond words also means listening without trying to fix her. Most people listen only until they find a point to offer advice. That's not true listening. That's interruption disguised as care. A woman's heart doesn't always need solutions. It needs understanding. Sometimes she doesn't need you to solve her pain, only to acknowledge it. When you resist the urge to fix, you give her the gift of being fully seen. That validation can heal wounds that no advice ever could. Another level of listening is to notice emotional dissonance. When her words say she's fine, but her tone says otherwise. Instead of confronting that directly or accusing her, approach it gently. You can say, I hear you saying you're okay, but I feel something different in your energy. Am I right? That statement tells her you're not just listening to her mouth, but to her heart. It communicates empathy, not interrogation. Over time, this kind of listening teaches her subconscious mind that truth is not punished, it's honored. To listen beyond words is to become an emotional mirror. It's about reflecting back not only what you hear, but what you feel from her. It's saying with your presence, I'm here, I see you, and I'm not leaving this moment. When that kind of attention meets her vulnerability, honesty becomes effortless. She no longer needs to hide, perform, or protect. She can simply be, and when she can be, the truth flows like a river that was waiting only for still water to find its way home. Trust and truth are inseparable energies, two sides of the same sacred coin. You cannot have one without the other. A woman cannot give you her truth until she feels she can trust you with it. Trust is not built with promises or words. It's built through consistent energy, presence, and integrity. It's the invisible language of safety that tells her, it's okay to be real here. When that message is felt deeply in her nervous system, honesty stops being a risk and starts becoming a release. She no longer holds back because her body no longer fears being misunderstood or hurt. Trust begins long before a conversation ever happens. It starts in how you show up. Every time you keep your word, every time you stay calm when she expects you to react, every time you listen without judgment, a signal is sent to her subconscious. This space is safe. The nervous system is always scanning for cues of safety or danger. If your energy is grounded, patient, and authentic, her body relaxes in your presence. That relaxation is not a small thing, it's everything. Because the body must feel safe before the heart can open. A woman's intuition is her radar. She feels the energy behind words, even when they sound perfect. If your tone, body language, or actions contradict your words, she feels that vibration of inconsistency. And when she does, trust weakens. That's why authenticity matters more than perfection. You don't have to be flawless, you have to be real. It's better to say, I'm trying to understand, than to pretend you already do. It's better to admit your fears than to hide behind logic. Realness builds trust because it shows vulnerability, and vulnerability invites vulnerability in return. Building this energetic trust also requires emotional steadiness. When she shares something sensitive and you become defensive, angry, or dismissive, it teaches her that truth equals danger. Her subconscious mind records that reaction as proof that honesty leads to pain. From then on, she withholds, not out of malice, but self protection. But when you remain steady, when you breathe, listen, and allow her to express fully, you show her nervous system a new pattern. Truth can exist without punishment. That is the foundation of deep trust. This connection goes both ways. Your own energy also shifts when trust deepens. When she starts to open up, you feel yourself becoming calmer, softer, and more present. That shared openness becomes a feedback loop of honesty. You both begin to operate from a place of safety rather than fear. The relationship transforms from a battlefield of words into a sanctuary of understanding. That's what it means when trust and truth become energetically connected. They feed and sustain each other. It's important to understand that building trust isn't a one-time act. It's a continuous process. Every interaction is a chance to strengthen or weaken it. Every reaction, every silence, every choice either nurtures or threatens that bond. The energy of trust grows in small, consistent acts. Remembering something important, she said, keeping a promise, offering kindness when it's not convenient. Those moments tell her subconscious mind, you are safe with me. When that safety becomes her default feeling around you, her truth will emerge effortlessly. Truth cannot be extracted through questioning, logic, or pressure. It flows only through the channels of emotional safety and authenticity. The moment she senses that you are present not to win, but to understand, her walls fall away. And in that openness, something profound happens. You don't just hear her truth, you feel it. Her energy becomes transparent. Her words become aligned with her emotions, and communication becomes a healing exchange. When trust and truth unite, a new level of intimacy is born. You are no longer two people trying to interpret each other's defenses. You are two souls meeting in the same frequency of honesty. That is the kind of truth that doesn't fade with time. It deepens. It becomes the unshakable foundation on which love, respect, and growth can stand. And it all begins with one simple choice: to be a person whose presence feels safe enough for truth to live. Emotional safety is the invisible foundation upon which all truth rests. Without it, honesty feels dangerous and vulnerability becomes impossible. When a woman doesn't feel emotionally safe, she doesn't lie to you. She protects herself from being hurt. Her silence, her guardedness, or her withdrawal are not signs of disconnection. They are signals of fear. To bring out the truth in her, you must first create an environment where her emotions feel respected, not analyzed, where her feelings can exist without judgment or interruption. Emotional safety is not built by words alone. It is created by the energy you carry when you are with her. True emotional safety begins with presence. Presence means you are fully here, not distracted, not preparing a reply, not observing her from your mind, but feeling her from your heart. It's that quiet awareness that says, I see you, and I'm not going anywhere. When a woman senses that kind of stability, her nervous system softens. Her body tells her, it's okay to exhale. Only then can she start to let her guard down. Emotional openness cannot bloom in the presence of tension or ego. It requires calmness, softness, and trust that her emotions will be met with understanding, not resistance. Creating that emotional space is not about grand gestures, but about subtle, consistent energy. It's in the way you respond to her vulnerability. When she expresses something emotional, sadness, frustration, confusion, and you meet it with impatience or logic, she learns that her feelings are unsafe here. But when you respond with empathy, when you simply say, I understand, or I'm here with you, she learns that her inner world has room to exist. That single moment of understanding can heal years of emotional suppression. Emotional safety also means giving her permission to be imperfect. Many women grow up in environments where emotions are labeled as too much or too sensitive. If you truly want to know her truth, you must create a space where she doesn't have to filter herself to be accepted. Allow her to express her fears, doubts, and dreams without trying to fix or minimize them. Your job is not to make her feelings disappear, it's to make them feel safe to exist. That kind of acceptance tells her, your truth won't scare me away. To create this emotional space, you must also be emotionally aware yourself. If you carry anger, defensiveness, or control in your energy, it will trigger her instinct to protect herself. Safety begins with your self-awareness. You must learn to stay grounded even when emotions rise. Emotional safety is not about perfection. It's about steadiness. When you can remain calm and open while she's emotional, you teach her subconscious that honesty is safe here. In that safety, truth naturally unfolds. One of the greatest signs of emotional safety is when silence between you doesn't feel heavy. When she doesn't feel the need to fill the space with explanations or justifications, she knows she can simply be. That's when honesty becomes effortless. Her truth doesn't have to be forced because she knows it will be received. And once she feels that kind of security, you'll notice her communication change. She'll start to open up more freely, revealing not just her thoughts, but her deepest emotions, desires, and memories. This kind of safety also strengthens connection on a soul level. When she feels emotionally safe, her truth aligns with her heart. She no longer speaks from fear or defense, but from authenticity. That honesty doesn't just bring clarity, it deepens love. Because real love is not born from attraction alone, it's born from truth that feels safe to share. When you create emotional safety, you stop asking for honesty and start living in it. You become the kind of energy where truth doesn't have to hide. And in that sacred space, something beautiful happens. She doesn't just tell you her truth, she becomes her truth. And the relationship transforms from a place of survival into a place of deep emotional freedom. The moment a woman decides to open her heart and share her truth is sacred. It's not a small act, it's an act of courage. In that instant, she's revealing not just her thoughts, but her emotional world, her fears, and her past experiences. How you receive that truth determines everything that happens next. One reaction can either deepen trust or destroy it. Judgment, defensiveness, or dismissiveness will close her heart. Compassion, presence, and understanding will open it wider. The way you hold her truth is the key to whether she feels safe enough to keep being honest in the future. When someone shares something raw, what they are really saying is, can I still be loved if you see this part of me? If your response carries impatience or criticism, it confirms her fear that vulnerability leads to rejection. Her subconscious immediately retreats to safety, and her future honesty becomes filtered and cautious. She'll still speak, but she'll speak carefully, editing herself to avoid another wound. The truth then becomes incomplete, hidden beneath politeness or emotional distance. But if your response communicates love, patience, and understanding, you break that cycle. She learns that truth doesn't destroy connection, it strengthens it. Receiving truth begins with emotional maturity. It means being aware of your own triggers and choosing not to react from them. Sometimes when she shares something uncomfortable, your ego might feel attacked, or your pride might feel challenged, but reacting defensively only teaches her that truth equals conflict. Instead, take a breath. Choose curiosity over reaction. Ask yourself, what is she really trying to say beneath these words? Often, what sounds like criticism is actually a cry for understanding. When you listen from that deeper place, you start to see her honesty not as confrontation, but as communication. Holding truth also means resisting the urge to fix it. When a woman opens up about pain, many people immediately offer solutions. But solutions aren't always what she needs. Sometimes she just needs her feelings to be seen. When you listen without trying to correct or change her, you give her permission to feel completely. That validation is powerful. It tells her that her emotions matter, that her truth has space to exist without being managed. It's in that space that healing begins. Compassionate listening also requires softness. Softness is not weakness, it's strength without ego. It's being able to say, I hear you. Thank you for trusting me with this. Those words are medicine. They disarm fear. They let her know that she doesn't have to fight to be understood. When she feels that level of acceptance, her honesty becomes more fluid. You'll notice that her tone changes. Her words come from peace, not from defense. And that transformation happens because she feels emotionally safe in your energy. It's also important to remember that truth is not always neat or comfortable. Sometimes it comes out in frustration, tears, or confusion. In those moments, don't take her emotions personally. She's not attacking you. She's releasing what's been held inside. If you can stay calm through her storm, if you can hold her words without absorbing them as wounds, you teach her nervous system that honesty doesn't have to equal chaos. That steadiness becomes a lighthouse, guiding her back to calm. Over time, your consistent reactions become her emotional evidence. She learns that even in discomfort, she's still accepted. That trust becomes the soil where deeper intimacy grows. She no longer hides her fears, her insecurities, or her dreams because she knows they won't be used against her. And once that level of safety exists, you begin to experience something few relationships ever reach: complete emotional transparency. The way you receive her truth doesn't just shape her, it shapes you too. It teaches you patience, empathy, and the strength to love without control. Every time you choose compassion over defense, you expand your own emotional intelligence. And through that expansion, both hearts heal. Because when a woman feels her truth can live freely in your presence, she doesn't just open up, she opens you up too. Every time you invite a woman's truth, you also encounter your own. Her honesty becomes a mirror reflecting your emotional landscape, your patience, your fears, your ego, and your capacity to love without control. The relationship between two conscious people is not just about communication, it's about mutual growth. When you ask for truth, you must be ready to receive what it awakens within you. Because her truth will not always comfort you. Sometimes it will challenge you, confront your insecurities, or reveal the parts of yourself that still need healing. But that is the gift hidden within her vulnerability. It gives you a chance to see yourself more clearly, to evolve beyond your own limits. Her truth is not meant to be convenient, it's meant to be real. When she tells you something honest, even if it's difficult to hear, she's offering you a mirror. In that mirror, you might see your impatience, your need to control, or your fear of rejection. Many people run from that mirror because it exposes their shadows. But the wise person leans in. They understand that emotional discomfort is the beginning of self-awareness. The more you listen with an open heart, the more you start to see how much your own inner state affects the energy of the relationship. Her truth doesn't just describe her experience, it reveals the dynamics you've both created together. When you learn to receive her truth without resistance, you begin to transcend your reactive patterns. You stop needing to be right, you stop trying to win, you start learning to feel, and in that process, you begin to heal. Because the truth she speaks often carries messages that your soul needs to hear. Messages about empathy, patience, softness, and accountability. Each time you handle her truth with grace, you strengthen your own emotional intelligence. You realize that love isn't about control. It's about allowing. It's about creating a space where both people can show up fully as they are. This level of connection transforms relationships into spiritual practice. Her truth helps you see the areas within yourself that still live in fear or resistance. If you find yourself reacting defensively, it's not because of what she said. It's because of what it touched inside you. When you begin to notice that pattern without judgment, you gain power over it. You evolve. Her truth becomes a teacher, not a threat. It shows you where your love still needs to grow stronger than your pride. As you grow in self-awareness, your energy changes. You become more peaceful, more grounded, and more capable of holding emotional space. And when your energy shifts, so does hers. She begins to trust more deeply, open more freely, and love more fully. The relationship becomes an energetic exchange of healing rather than a cycle of protection and defense. You both stop performing and start being. That's the beauty of emotional evolution. When one person heals, it invites the other to do the same. Eventually, you realize that her truth is not separate from your own. When she expresses her feelings, she's also expressing the emotional patterns that exist between you. Listening to her truth with an open heart helps both of you become more conscious of those patterns, so you can co-create something higher, a relationship that reflects awareness instead of wounds. Her truth, therefore, becomes a catalyst for your transformation. The more you honor her truth, the more you align with authenticity within yourself. You stop fearing emotional depth and start welcoming it. You begin to see that truth, even when it's uncomfortable, always leads to greater connection. In that realization, love matures. It stops being about validation and starts being about evolution. When you invite a woman's truth and meet it with openness, you're not just hearing her, you're growing with her. You're evolving together, step by step, word by word, into a deeper version of yourselves. Her truth helps awaken yours. And in that sacred exchange, both hearts rise to a higher vibration, one rooted not in fear, but in understanding, healing, and love that finally feels free to be real.